Welcome aboard as we take you on a ride through history at the National Naval Aviation Museum. Today, we're exploring the world of Korean War-era aircraft. So, strap in, hit that like button, and let's take off into the past. Sikorsky's H3S was a versatile utility helicopter that became the first rotary-wing aircraft to replace fixed-wing floatplanes on U.S. Navy cruisers and was the first helicopter used as a plane guard aboard aircraft carriers. It played a crucial role during the Korean War, conducting combat rescues and medical evacuations, with Lieutenant Junior Grade John Kolsch posthumously becoming the first helicopter pilot awarded the Medal of Honor. The helicopter proved its capabilities early on during Operation High Jump in Antarctica and featured innovations like folding blades and an external hoist for shipboard operations. The Coast Guard's H3S, notably used in a 1951 Atlantic rescue, showcased its versatility by water landing to save an Air Force pilot when standard rescue methods failed. The HTL-SU, derived from Bell's pioneering Model 47, played a foundational role in the early development and operational use of helicopters by the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps. Notably the first civilian helicopter to receive certification and the first to be employed across all branches of the U.S. military, the Model 47, and by extension, the HTL, represented a technological leap in rotary-wing aviation. During the Korean War, it proved invaluable in medical evacuation missions, notably flying critically wounded Marines from frontline positions, with one pilot famously spending nearly 10 continuous hours in the air during an emergency on April 23, 1951. Though rooted in the industrial legacy of Bell Aircraft's fixed-wing designs, the SU's enduring presence until 1973 marks it as one of the most significant and recognizable helicopters in military history. In 1949, the Hiller Aircraft Corporation introduced the HTE, a two-seat, two-bladed helicopter notable for its innovative rotormatic control system, which significantly enhanced handling and stability. The aircraft quickly gained acclaim and, by 1950, became the world's best-selling helicopter. Recognizing its superior performance, the U.S. Navy adopted the HTE-1 during the Korean War for roles including medical evacuation, observation, and general utility. At the time of its deployment, it was considered the most powerful light utility helicopter in service. The Sikorsky H5S, derived from a civilian S-52, was the first helicopter to feature all-metal rotor blades and was adapted for military use with a four-seat configuration. Primarily employed by the Marine Corps during the Korean War, it served in observation roles and for the evacuation of personnel under both day and night conditions. Although the S-52 variant set a world speed record in testing, operational evaluations revealed limitations in speed, cabin size, and range, which ultimately hindered its effectiveness in military missions. Despite its short service life, the H5S contributed to the evolution of rotary-wing aviation and informed later turbine power designs. The Sikorsky HUP Retriever, accepted by the U.S. Navy in 1949, was a compact, tandem-rotor helicopter designed primarily for search and rescue and plane guard duties aboard aircraft carriers. Notably equipped with a rescue hoist that operated through a floor hatch large enough for a stretcher, the HUP became a familiar presence on every deployed carrier during its service peak. In a historic moment on August 4, 1955, a retriever made the first aircraft landing on a nuclear-powered vessel, touching down on the deck of the submarine Nautilus. Though later versions introduced capabilities like dipping sonar and an autopilot system, the HUP's most lasting legacy lies in its rotor configuration, which influenced the design of later tandem-rotor helicopters, such as the CH-46 Sea Knight. De Havilland's U-1 Otter was a rugged utility aircraft valued by the U.S. Navy for its ability to operate from makeshift airfields, making it ideal for missions in extreme environments like Antarctica. This Otter played a vital role in Operation Deep Freeze, supporting scientific expeditions and cargo transport across the icy terrain. The North American T28 Trojan served as a primary training aircraft for the U.S. Navy from 1952 until 1984, replacing the SNJ and offering student aviators a powerful, responsive platform that mirrored the handling of earlier combat aircraft. Derived from the Air Force's T-28A, but equipped with twice the horsepower, Navy variants like the T28B and carrier-capable T28C offered exceptional performance for a non-pressurized, non-ejection sea trainer. Beyond training, the Trojan played a combat role in Southeast Asia, where modified T-28D Nomad supported counterinsurgency missions with impressive low-altitude and night operation capabilities. The museum's T-28B honors the legacy of an aircraft that trained generations of naval aviators. The Lockheed TV-2 Shooting Star, a two-seat derivative of the Air Force's P-80, played a vital role in training the Navy's first generation of jet pilots during the early Cold War era. Initially acquired to fill a gap in jet training as the Navy awaited its own carrier-based jets, the Shooting Star proved effective as a land-based trainer and also supported missile and drone control operations. Although not suitable for carrier use, that laid the groundwork for the later T-2V-1 Star, a navalized version with key modifications like a tailhook and strengthened airframe. The National Naval Aviation Museum's example, a restored Air Force T-33, represents the TV-2 in its Navy training role. The Grumman F7F Tigercat was a powerful twin-engine fighter developed during World War II for use aboard the Navy's planned Midway-class carriers, though it ultimately saw limited carrier deployment due to its size and timing. As the first carrier aircraft to feature tricycle landing gear, and among the fastest piston-engine fighters of its era, the Tigercat was heavily armed with both cannons and machine guns, and capable of carrying bombs or a torpedo. While arrived too late to see combat in World War II, it served effectively with Marine Corps squadrons in roles ranging from night fighting to reconnaissance during the Korean War. Despite its strong design and performance, the rapid rise of jet aircraft soon eclipsed the Tigercat, limiting its operational tenure. Grumman's F8F Bearcat, the final and most powerful of the Navy's piston-engine fighters, was designed as a compact, high-performance successor to the F6F Hellcat, centered around the powerful Pratt & Whitney R2800 engine. Weighing 2,000 pounds less than its predecessor, the Bearcat delivered unmatched speed, climb rate, and combat maneuverability, earning it a reputation as the most capable single-engine, propeller-driven fighter ever built. Although it entered service too late to see combat in World War II, equipped numerous Navy squadrons post-war and saw action with French forces in Indochina in the 1950s. The museum's example reflects later variants, including those adapted for night fighting and photo reconnaissance, showcasing the aircraft's versatility and advanced design features, such as the experimental explosive wingtip system. The Martin AM Mauler was developed during World War II as a powerful, multi-role attack aircraft capable of carrying bombs and torpedoes from a single platform to conserve carrier deck space. Powered by the 2,975 horsepower Wright R3350 engine, it boasted exceptional payload capacity, once lifting an unofficial record 10,689 pounds, and was armed with four 20mm cannons. Despite its impressive specifications, the Mauler suffered from serious handling and structural issues during carrier operations, ultimately proving inferior to its rival, the Douglas AD Skyraider. Though briefly assigned to frontline squadrons, the Mauler was relegated to the Naval Air Reserve by 1950, with the museum's example serving until 1955 before being preserved as a rare artifact of an ambitious but flawed design. The Douglas A-1 Skyraider, originally designated the AD, emerged from a 1943 Navy initiative to combine dive bombing and torpedo missions into one powerful aircraft, resulting in a rugged, unglamorous design capable of carrying an astonishing 8,000 pounds of ordnance, more than B-17 bombers. First flown in 1945, the Skyraider quickly earned a reputation among aviators for its raw power and intense flying experience, with its massive radial engine producing a distinctive roar and vibration. The aircraft proved invaluable in Korea, excelling in close air support, interdiction, and specialized missions ranging from electronic warfare to night attack. Though eventually overshadowed by jets, the Skyraider continued to serve through the Vietnam War, where it flew some of the earliest strikes and remained in combat until 1968, a testament to its unmatched versatility and durability. The Grumman AFG Guardian was the U.S. Navy's first purpose-built carrier-based anti-submarine warfare (ASW) aircraft, developed in the post-World War II era to replace the TBF/TBM Avenger. Designed in two specialized variants, the AF2W Guppy for submarine detection, and the AF2S Scrapper for attack. It operated as part of a hunter-killer team, with each aircraft carrying different mission equipment. Though it was the largest single-engine aircraft in the world at the time, the Guardian suffered from poor low-speed handling and a high accident rate, especially during carrier operations. Phased out by 1955 in favor of the more versatile S2F tracker, the Guardian represents a transitional phase in naval ASW strategy, as reflected in the museum's restored AF2S, which once served in both active and reserve roles. The MacDonald F1 Phantom holds the distinction of being the U.S. Navy's first operational jet fighter, marking a significant milestone with the first carrier landing of a pure jet on the USS Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1946. Developed during World War II and first flown in 1945, the Phantom introduced the Navy to jet propulsion, though its frontline service was brief due to rapid advances in jet technology. 60 production models were delivered beginning in 1947, primarily serving with one Navy and two Marine squadrons, including the famed unofficial Marine Phantoms demonstration team. By 1953, the FH-1 was retired from active duty, but its pioneering role laid the groundwork for subsequent generations of carrier-based jet fighters, a legacy preserved by the museum's restored example. The MacDonald F2H Banshee, successor to the F1 Phantom, was a fast, high-altitude fighter favored for escorting B-29 bombers during the Korean War. Nicknamed for the screaming sound of its engines and affectionately called the Banjo by pilots, the Banshee outperformed its predecessor with greater speed and nearly double the range. While highly stable for carrier operations, the aircraft's fragile landing gear and vulnerable tail limited its operational weight and carrier landing capabilities. Its high-altitude performance was a significant asset in naval aviation, helping to challenge strategic bomber dominance and serving as the fleet's primary all-weather fighter into the late 1950s. MacDonald's F2H Banshee was the U.S. Navy's premier photo reconnaissance aircraft during the Korean War, combining the speed and high-altitude performance of the F2H fighter with advanced camera systems housed in an extended nose. Its K-38 cameras allowed pilots to cover targets in a single pass at 15,000 feet, significantly reducing exposure to enemy fire compared to earlier platforms like the F9F Panther. This capability greatly enhanced the interdiction campaign by providing vital, timely intelligence with improved safety and efficiency. Remarkably, the museum's photo Banshee was discovered years later in a playground in Florida, preserved with concrete-filled fuselage and wings, and now restored to honor its distinguished service with Marine Photo Reconnaissance Squadron 1. The Soviet MiG-15, one of the first successful swept-wing jet fighters, posed a significant threat to Western aircraft during the Korean War and early Cold War period. It was the adversary in the Navy's first jet-versus-jet combat, where Lieutenant Commander William T. Amen became the first naval aviator to down a MiG-15 in November 1950. Notably, Marine Major John F. Bolt became naval aviation's only jet ace of the Korean War by shooting down 6 MiG-15s, while future astronauts John Glenn and Wally Schirra also scored kills against this formidable fighter. Despite its early dominance, the MiG-15 was eventually matched by aircraft like the F-86 Sabre, yet remained a persistent threat in multiple Cold War incidents involving U.S. Navy reconnaissance missions. North American's FJ-2 Fury was a naval adaptation of the Air Force's successful F-86 Sabre, designed to provide the Navy with a swept-wing jet fighter capable of matching Soviet MiG-15s encountered during the Korean War. Despite its impressive speed of 676 miles per hour, the Fury faced significant challenges operating from aircraft carriers, which led to its exclusive assignment to Marine Corps squadrons rather than frontline Navy units. Notably, it played a key role in testing the Navy's first steam catapult, marking an important technological advancement in carrier operations. Introduced in 1954 and retired by 1958, the FJ-2 was soon replaced by more advanced Fury variants, underscoring the rapid pace of naval aviation development during the Cold War. The North American FJ-4 represented the final and most advanced iteration of the Fury series, featuring a complete redesign that addressed many of the operational challenges experienced by its predecessors in carrier service. Unlike the FJ2 and FJ3, which were derivatives of the Air Force's F-86 Sabre, the FJ4 incorporated a shorter, deeper fuselage and innovative wing designs, including high-lift flaps and drooping leading edges, to improve carrier performance and high-speed capabilities. Of the 374 FJ4s produced, the FJ4B fighter attack variant was particularly significant as the first to deploy the Bullpup missile, marking a milestone in guided air-to-ground weaponry. Accepted by the Navy in 1956 and later redesignated the F1E, it served until the mid-1960s, with the museum's example proudly representing its service with Marine Fighter Squadron VMF 232. The F3H Demon, MacDonald Aircraft's first swept-wing jet fighter, laid important groundwork for the later, highly successful F4 Phantom II, but was plagued by early engine reliability issues that led to multiple crashes and a congressional inquiry. Initially powered by the problematic Westinghouse J40 engine, the Demon program was nearly canceled until the switch to Allison's J71 engine allowed production to continue, resulting in over 500 aircraft, including the missile-capable F3H2M variant. Despite improvements, the Demon struggled with limited power and high fuel consumption, which restricted its range and performance, yet it served as the Navy's primary all-weather interceptor from 1956 to 1964. Though it never saw combat in Vietnam, the Demon flew with 23 Navy squadrons and remains a significant step in naval aviation history, with only 3 examples surviving today, including the museum's F3H2M displayed in VF-193 markings. The F7U Cutlass featured a bold tailless swept-wing configuration that was innovative but ultimately ahead of its time, particularly given the limitations of its underpowered engines. Nicknamed the Gutless Cutlass, the aircraft suffered from structural weaknesses and engine shortcomings, resulting in a high accident rate that claimed over a quarter of all units built. Despite these issues, the F7U-3M variant was notable for being the first Navy aircraft to deploy overseas armed with missiles, reflecting its role in advancing naval aviation technology. Accepted into service in 1954, the museum's Cutlass was retired by 1957, marking the end of a challenging but important chapter in carrier-based jet fighter development. Grumman's F9F Panther was the U.S. Navy's first successful jet fighter, entering service in 1949 and quickly proving its combat value during the Korean War. It notably achieved the Navy's first jet-versus-jet kill on November 9, 1950, while flying strike missions from carriers such as the USS Valley Forge. The Panther, powered initially by Rolls-Royce and later Pratt & Whitney engines, was used extensively by both Navy and Marine Corps squadrons in air-to-ground and air-to-air roles, including the reconnaissance F9F 2P variant. Eventually replaced by the swept-wing F9F Cougar, Panther's transition to advanced training roles, marking an important evolution in early carrier-based jet aviation. The Grumman F9F Cougar, introduced in 1953, was the swept-wing successor to the straight-wing F9F Panther and featured improved performance and handling. Although it arrived too late to see combat in Korea, the Cougar made significant contributions, including setting transcontinental speed records in 1954 and serving as the Blue Angel's first swept-wing aircraft. Nearly 2,000 Cougars were produced in various fighter, attack, reconnaissance, and training roles, with the 2-seat F9F 8T trainer variant remaining in service until 1974. Notably, a few training Cougars were deployed in Vietnam as forward air control aircraft, marking the model's only combat use. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the incredible Korean-era aircraft at the National Naval Aviation Museum. These jets and fighters not only showcase amazing engineering and innovation, but also tell the stories of the brave pilots who flew them in a pivotal chapter of aviation history. If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on more aviation adventures. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.